everyone, it's Jen. I'm back today with another coffee catch up. It has been well over 4 years, almost 5, since I last filmed one of these, and I'm really excited to be back with you today to talk about all the things I've been working on, talk to you a little bit about what my life looks like now, and to show you some of the various crafts that I've been working on over the last few years. So let's grab that coffee or your beverage of choice because it's time for coffee catch up. Hey everyone, it's Jen. I just want to welcome you to a coffee catch up. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. I used to post these videos a long time ago and stopped over the last few years, but I'm here to try to resurrect my YouTube channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for still subscribing. It means a lot to me that you've been patiently waiting for if I ever posted a video again. But I'm here and I am looking forward to making new content. I am pretty excited about some of the things I have planned for this channel. One thing I've learned about myself over the last few years is I do enjoy making video content. I enjoy making that video content on my schedule and in a way that's not overwhelming. So there might not be as many videos as there used to be here, getting posted regularly. Or you might not be seeing as many videos from me as, you have over the last few years when I've been doing some other things, but I'm really excited to work on this and do these coffee catch-ups on the reg again and just talk to you about crafting, because that's really what I've missed the most is that, obviously a lot's happened over the last few years. And, there was a time when we weren't really all getting together with our little, friend groups. And even my knitting group, which really isn't a knitting group, we're like a crafting group at this point. But my group, we're really now, it's the middle of 2024 and we're just now, I feel really getting into the groove of we're bringing back our group to get together every once in a while, fully, everybody. So, it's just, we've all been through a lot. And I just had a lot, obviously going on. Work looked a little different for me over the last few years. But that's kind of changed again now. So yeah, I just want to catch you up on a little bit of life stuff, talk a little bit about what my business is up to these days. And then I have a lot of crafts around me. It's a lot of different things that I've been working on over the last few years, a few finished items, a few things that are in progress. I don't know. I'll tell you what I'm up to these days. And yeah, so hopefully you've got that beverage. You might need a snack too. And let's get into it. So let's just do the life update stuff first. So let's see. I last posted a video, I think in September of 2019. So, my husband was one of those people that gave me a little text one random day in the March of 2020 and was like, hey, I'm going to come work from home for 2 weeks. And I'm like, cool story. And he's still here. He's on the other side of the wall over here on a conference call. So he's permanent work from home, which we love. His building doesn't even exist anymore. They tore it down. So he doesn't even have a place to go to work. And that is fine by him because they have no option to make him try to go back to work as long as he's with that company. So we love the flexibility of it. Alex got 2 hours a day of his life back by not commuting. And commuting was honestly, he probably hated that more than having to go be at work, So yeah. So that's really great. We love the work from home. It's really kind of allowed us just be able to spend more time doing the things that are important to us, which is, spending time with our friends and spending time with all of our nieces and nephews. I have a whole nother niece that's come into existence since I last posted a video. So, we're just really enjoying that. We're kind of just enjoying that child-free auntie and uncle life with all of our amazing nieces and nephews, doing lots of fun stuff with them all this summer. Has been really great. And I have gotten a couple of them into crafting. So 2 of my nieces have have now really taken to the yarn craft. So I have my 10-year-old niece, and I had already taught her to knit a couple years ago, and her mom also does know the knitting basics. So that's been really great because it was like I could show her and her mom can help her. But then over the last few months when I would see her, we started working on crochet. And she's taking to that too. So she's currently working on some knitting projects, but she is dabbling in the crochet. But like, I got it. I made another yarn person for sure with that one. So I'm really excited about that. And then I have another niece who's going to turn 8 in about a month. And we've been dabbling in the crochet. She 100% has the crochet chain down. And so now we've been kind of working on single crochet when I see her. And so that's been like really, really fun because like I didn't learn how to knit until I was an adult. And I'll actually talk about the story of how I came into knitting later when I show you one of my projects I made. But like I didn't start knitting until I was like 24 or something like that. And then a few years later, I started crocheting. My mom is still to this day, she was like, I am not crafty. So like my mom didn't teach me. I do have an aunt that knits and crochets. She lives somewhere else. Like I didn't, this is something that my aunt and I enjoy talking about now, but like I didn't even know that she did all that stuff. So it's been really fun. It's been really fun to just like be able to sort of like impart the yarn wisdom onto the youth. So I'm really enjoying that. Because I do think that these hobbies are really good ones to have. I do think that, we all have a lot on our plates. We have a lot mentally to like process these days. I feel like you always have like information coming at you. And the crafts, I do think just like allow us to slow down a bit, and it's really great. And so I'm very happy that they're both into it, and I think that they're going to stay into it. I'm sure the 10-year-old that she is a crafter. That girl can craft. And everybody else is doing really great too. I'm loving seeing everybody's little hobbies and interests form. We've got some nephews that are very into their video games. I'm also very into video games. That's something, I always was into video games, but that came out a little bit more now in the last few years. I am a cozy gamer. So, if you're like an Animal Crossing Stardew Valley person, I'm your gal, because those are my two. If I'm not knitting or crocheting or cross stitching or occasionally sewing, but barely sewing, I'm like literally glued to my Nintendo Switch. So that's a little bit about that. So I guess let's talk about what work is looking like for me these days. The last few years, things kind of transitioned into something different than what it was before 2020. And now I'm kind of transitioning back out of that. So it's just kind of been, I don't want to say like a roller coaster is not the right word, but my business kind of went through a transition where I was doing a lot of work for third parties. I was doing a lot of work on contract. Now I still do a lot of work on contract, but I had one main client that I was doing basically all of my work for over the last few years. That has come to an end. And so I'm really excited about like making content for myself again. When I think about like when I first was wanting to even think about having like a knitting design career that could be a job, I did it there was a lot of reasons that went into why that was a goal of mine. But like one of them was that I just wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Like I like being my own boss. Now, obviously with any job, there's struggles, but like obviously being your own boss, it's a struggle sometimes because you're like, my boss thinks I should take an afternoon nap. You know what I mean? But part of why I wanted my own business in the first place was that so nobody else would tell me what to do. And even when you're working on contract, like they're not your boss, but they are your boss. You know what I mean? And so like, I just the last 4 years, I was just chasing deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline. Like it just never, ever stopped. And, you know, that is partially on me. I was, you know, I historically have had a hard time saying no, especially, well, to everything, but like when it comes to work. And so, you know, part of the always chasing a deadline was my own doing. And it just like wasn't maintainable. I loved creating content. I loved talking with people about crafting, but like the grind of it was really, really hard. And then furthermore, the grind of it is really, really hard when the compensation doesn't match the grind. You know what I mean? And so, that time has ended. Now I'm just like doing my own thing as far as like making videos are concerned. I'm really excited about it. Because the reality is when I was making my YouTube videos before, I had so much fun doing it. And the last few years, I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot. And I also met like some unbelievably cool people. And so just like people that I think I will be friends with I know I will be friends with for the rest of my life. And so, you know, it's not to say like, you know, it wasn't like a terrible thing, but it just wasn't the vibe anymore, I guess is like the way to say it. It just wasn't the vibe anymore. And so what I did learn from all of that is I do like making video content. I just need to be making content in a way that I can maintain. That doesn't have me up at 3 a.m. trying to set up my video cameras before, you know, people start working on my street. You know, I mean, I don't know. The grind was really hard. And, you know, I've just taken some time now to think about like, what do I really want my business to look like? And so I do have some exciting things besides just resurrecting my YouTube channel that I'm working on. So as far as the YouTube channel goes, I plan on posting some videos again. I'm probably going to go back to like a once a month-ish on these coffee catch-ups. They're going to, you know, they're not always going to be the same. I used to feel like, oh, like, how do I share my work separately from my craft, like the stuff I'm crafting that's not for work? Like, I don't know. The reality is that my work and my hobbies significantly overlap because like I crochet a lot for a hobby right now. I also crochet for work a lot right now, you know, so I feel like in these videos, I'm not necessarily going to separate, you know, I'm not going to be making separate videos to talk about work and talk about, you know, what I'm crafting. Because it's like, there's so much overlap. It's like I've embraced the chaos of what my crafting is at this point. Like I am somebody that, gets like super focused on like one particular craft or project for a week. And then I'm going to forget about it for a month while I'm busy going like on a total reading binge, or I'm going to play Stardew Valley for 6 hours a night, every night for a week. Like, so, you know, that's just kind of how I am. And honestly, that's kind of how it's always been. But I think I'm just, you know, I'm just going to share with you what I'm working on. And if that's work, it's work. If it's not work, it's not work, you know? So hopefully you're here for that. I mean, I think it's all interesting. You know, for work right now, I'm not necessarily doing a ton of like new designing. I don't know. I just haven't really had the like call or like the feeling, or like I haven't had like a real solid idea where it was like, oh my God, I have to make this right now. Like there's things churning. There's definitely things churning in my head. You know, but I'm just trying right now. I'm into instructional, like doing instructional things. Like right now I'm very into like, if I could just knit or crochet swatches like all the time, I would. Like I still just love to knit a random swatch, but like I don't want to like knit a gauge swatch and then be like, oh, now I'm going to make a sweater. No, I just want to only make the swatch. You know, so you will be seeing some like technique videos coming out on the channel, because it's like, if I feel like knitting a swatch, I'm going to just like think of a cool swatch that I can like show you how I made it or something. So yeah, and then as far as other work things go, I'm not really traveling for work like I was before, obviously. You know, in 2018 and into 2019, I was really starting to ramp up my traveling for work, where I was like teaching a lot, going all over the place. Obviously, like many people, that slowed down. And now, like, it's very rare that I'm doing like a teaching gig, but I also haven't been like around promoting it for the last few years either. So last year I went and taught at a retreat at the Lancaster Yarn Shop. Well, it was like at a hotel, but it was the Lancaster Yarn Shop in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I had a retreat and I taught there with Bristol Ivy and Cal Patch. I had never met either one of them in person. Both a delight, and I'm glad that they're both my pals now. So that was super cool. Later this year, I'm going to do a talk. It's actually for a quilting guild, but many of them are knitters. So I'm going to go do that later this year. That's local here in like the Chicago suburbs that I'm going to do. You know, so I'm kind of getting back out there. You know, I've been looking at sort of my class list and like thinking about, you know, what I still would want to teach, or revamp, or, you know, thinking of some new things that I might want to teach should the opportunity come along. So, you know, that's kind of where that's at. And then we're going to have a little bit of book talk because things have been going on with my books. So for those of you who are new, or if you didn't know, I wrote 6 knitting books with the publisher Martingale and Company. The most popular one is Sock Yarn Shawls. That one came out in 2011, 2013. I don't know. It's a long time, over 10 years. But anyway, last year, the year before, the publisher decided to close, and I had the opportunity to get the assets back. It's not just as simple, like when a publisher closes, it's not as simple a lot of times. It obviously depends on your contract too. But it's not as simple as like, oh, the publisher closed. Here's everything for your books. You now get it. That's not always the case. In my case, I did have the rights back to the patterns. I did not have the rights back to the photo. I didn't have the photos. I didn't have the like charts that they had made. I didn't have the layout. I didn't have that. Like, that was theirs. And if I wanted it, I had to pay for it. You know, and we can talk all day about what should and should not be in contracts, but that's just how it was. And it's honestly not that uncommon in our industry. So this was really the first time that I like kind of took a little bit of a bet on myself monetarily. And I said, I want the rights back to all of my books. I want those assets. I want those photos. I'm never going to take photos as good as most of those photos. And so I got the rights to my books back. And then I just said, I'm just sitting on them. They're mine. Now they can't go anywhere else. They can't go anywhere else. And other companies are making money on what I have done, and I'm not getting paid. I have them. I control where they do, what they do, where they go. And so I just held on to them for a while, and the opportunity did come along last year. I was talking with a publisher about some other things, which I'll show you. And I ended up working with a new publisher to make a compilation book of not all, but a compilation book that has patterns from 5 of my books. Let's see. Oh, this whole thing's gonna fall down. And here it is. It's the Big Book of Knitted Shawls. I'm unofficially calling it Shawls, Jen's version, because these are patterns that were in my old book. I got the rights back to, I got the assets back to, and now I have licensed them to be in a new book. So it has, like I said, it has patterns from 5 of my books. So Sock Yarn Shawls, Sock Yarn Shawls 2, Sock Yarn Accessories, Cozy Stash Busting Knits, and Stunning Stitches. There's 35 patterns in here total, so it's like nowhere near everything. But it's like a good mix of the patterns. So let's just see. Let me just flip. So like here, This is Damsel. This is the cover shawl from Cozy Stash Busting Knits. And so it's the same photos. I did go through all of the patterns again, obviously. Like, those patterns had been copy edited, tech edited, all of the multiple times, right? But I did look at this as an opportunity to just freshen up some of the wording. You know, that first Sock Yarn Shawls book, I mean, some of those patterns I literally wrote in 2009 or 2010 when I was submitting it like for a proposal. Obviously, my writing style has changed since then. And so I just, you know, wanted to kind of go through and make sure that, you know, I was happy with the thing, like happy with how it was written still. There wasn't a lot of changing around, just like little formatting things mostly, but like, I really like it because the new publisher, Fox Chapel, I do think, well, because they had literally the like InDesign files from my old books, they were, I feel like they really kept like the vibe of the old books. Like Sock Yarn Shawls 2, I feel like the way that book was laid out was so lovely. Like, I just thought like the font and the colors and everything were so nice. And I feel like they kind of used that book as a template to make this book. And so I'm very happy with it. And the cover shawl, this is Cinder from Sock Yarn Shawls 2. One of my knitting besties, Jenny, she made this. I did not pick the cover, but I'm really happy about it. Sock Yarn Shawls 2 is like, I mean, like, how do you have a favorite book like that? I loved writing that book. I love the projects in that book. So I'm really excited that it, one of the patterns made it on to the cover. And then here's the back. You can see it's just like some shawls and like, here's what's inside. So if you already have the other books, honestly, you're not really going to get anything you know, new out of that book. It's literally a best of. I'm calling it Shawls, Jen's version. But, you know, if your Sock Yarn Shawls book is all beat up and the cover's falling off and you're still enjoying making lace shawls, you might want to check it out. That book is not going to, it's actually not even out yet, and I'm telling you about it. It's going to be out in October. I think the release date's actually my wedding anniversary, which is kind of just random and cool, I guess. So like October 8th, I think. And so, well, yes, if I'm saying if it's my wedding anniversary is October 8th. Yeah, so you can check that out. I will leave some links if you are interested in pre-ordering it. Obviously, please talk to your yarn store, local bookstore. If you would like it, I'm sure that they can figure, like, they could carry it too, especially like the yarn stores and stuff. And so with that same publisher, though, I have been doing some other things. I'm very excited. And that thing is my first crochet book. Look at this little cute little crochet book I made. It's called Pocket Guide to Crochet. And it's literally a book that's meant to fit in your pocket. I mean, like your project bag pocket, and gives you a bunch of tips and tricks on just like how to crochet. So it's really just the basics. It has some photo tutorials. I'm going to like flip to a page here. Like, oh, here, I'll show you how to like measure gauge, or like, there's like photo tutorials on like how to do the different stitches. So I just included a lot of different things in here that would be like the basic crochet things that you would need to know. And it's a cute little book. And actually in this book, I did do a blanket pattern that is in the book, or booklet, whatever you want to call it. And that is the Sophie baby blanket. Look at how cute. I mean, this is, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is just like a beautiful crochet stitch pattern. Oh my gosh, but isn't it so nice? I mean, I accidentally made it the colors of a certain football team to my north, but I thought that this yarn was going to be more blue-gray when I ordered it, but it was more green, so it's a little yellow and greenish, but that's okay. It's for all my Packers fans out there, for all the Packers babies out there, I guess. I don't know. But I really love it. It's just got like a little single crochet border around it. Very cute. Very cute. I love this actually. I actually would love to do something with this stitch pattern again. It's just like single crochets and double crochets, and you just do them in a certain way to kind of make that little wave. This was so fun. Like this was one of those projects, this is probably one of my favorite projects I've ever made for any book. Like I just literally would reach for this out of the fun of it. So this one did not feel like a work obligation to me at all. I was like, ooh, I'm going to work on the blanket. So that's really fun. And then I do have, so that book, The Pocket Guide to Crochet, that one is currently available. It just came out earlier this month. I'll leave links to that below. Again, you can ask your yarn store to carry it or a local bookstore. And I am also doing sort of the complimentary pocket guide to knitting. So it's going to be the same sort of thing, the basics that you need to know for knitting that you like might forget on the go. And that one will be out, I think, later this year. I just reviewed the final draft of it last week. And so now it's like off to the printer. So all of that to say, somehow I started writing books again. I thought that I wasn't going to write books anymore. I felt like when Martingale closed, you know, they were basically my publisher the whole time I wrote like full-length books. And I mean, they were. And so I felt like when they closed, like, haha, that chapter closed for me too. I don't know. I didn't feel super motivated to try to like figure it out, you know, like I felt like for a while, I felt like the books were kind of just, people weren't buying books. Everybody's like looking stuff up on YouTube, which is awesome. I look stuff up on YouTube all the time. So I just didn't know if like that was what I wanted to do, if it was in the cards for me. And you know what? Sliding back into the book writing, it's like, I don't want to say it's easy because like writing, it is a lot of work to write a book. Even those little ones take work. But it feels comfortable. Like it's like, I don't know. It's like a comfortable work project. It's like, I know what I need to do. I know what it takes to get those things done at this point. So I've been enjoying that. You know, I don't know what's going to come as far as writing more books. I'm still not really feeling like inspired, or I don't really have like a solid idea for like a pattern book right now. Like of new patterns, but it's like a never say never thing, you know. I'm enjoying doing those little pocket guides because it is more techniques. And I'm just like enjoying looking at the little details in the knitting and the crochet. And I've always been interested in those things. But I am much more interested in the technical aspects of our craft now. And it could be because the other part of my job and what I'm doing right now is tech editing. I'm actually doing quite a bit of tech editing these days. If you don't know what a tech editor is somebody that edits another designer's pattern to make sure that it's technically correct. And this, I think, has been a really like good fit for me in the industry right now. You know, I do come from a lab background. I did have to peer review data at like every job I had working in a lab or whatever. So, you know, I feel like tech editing is sort of like peer reviewing lab data. You're checking to make sure everything makes sense. You're making sure that like nothing obvious got missed. You know, you're looking for like making sure that like the language is clear or like, you know, things like that. And so I'm really enjoying it. I don't have a ton of tech editing clients because I can't be editing 40 hours a week. I mean, if there are tech editors that are tech editing 40 hours a week, I need to know how your brain works because like, I don't have like the mental capacity to like do that technical of work for that much time every week. But, you know, I enjoy having a handful of good clients, that, you know, write amazing patterns. Like part of what I love about tech editing is like literally, seeing how like other people's brains work, seeing like just what cool ideas they have. And like a tech editor, you're not trying to change anybody's pattern. You're just trying to help you know, give it that little polish it needs. And so I'm really, really enjoying that. And all the time, actually, I think I might need to pause my video to go get it. All the time when I'm tech editing, I'm always like, oh my God, I wish I had time to make this. I wish I had time to make this. And I did have one thing where I was like, nope, I'm making it. I don't care. Like, I tech edited the pattern, sent it back to the designer, and then like that weekend I made the thing. So I'm gonna go get it because I feel like you need to see it. Okay, here it is. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It is a crochet bag. You can wear it as a fanny pack. I never do. I wear it like that. There's nothing in it right now. This was designed by my good pal, Brenda KB Anderson. It's literally 4 granny squares put together, and then you do some single crochet and install the zipper and then like seam it up. Made these little tabs here. The only change I made to the pattern was I just crocheted in this like little thing that would like hold stuff, so I could have like some cute looks. See, I cross-stitched Krobus from Stardew Valley, if anybody's a Stardew Valley fan. I just did this on that like perforated paper and like cut it out. So yeah, I will link, I think I'm going to have to link to the Ravelry page for this, but I will link to it if you are interested in finding this for yourself. She in the pattern does link to what strap to buy, but there's a wide variety of, you could use any strap you want. You could use one from like an old bag too if you wanted, but isn't that so cool? My husband and I went to Las Vegas a couple months ago on vacation, and I like was determined to finish it before we went, and I did, and I used it the whole time I was on vacation, and this is just really my favorite bag. So I know I was talking about tech editing, but see, sometimes the patterns are too cool and you just have to make it. And there's a lot of things that when I tech edit, I want to make, but you know, you don't always have time. That one was 4 granny squares, and you did have to like sew in a lining and stuff. So I was doing some things that I don't normally do for my craft. So that was a lot of fun. So all that to say, tech editing's going really well. And I am enjoying it. I am doing both knit and crochet. Which has been really fun. I really like it. So that's kind of what business is looking like these days. I am working on a new website. It's craftygencrafts.com. It's not great. There's not a lot there yet. I am working on it. You know, I feel like I just sort of leave these like trail of websites. But I'm pretty committed to getting this one. Like, I have a vision. So I will be working on that as well. I'm going to be taking some of the old patterns from the books that aren't in the new book and putting them up. You know, some of them I'm just going to put up free on my website. Some of them will just be like PDFs like I always had. And so I'm going to be working on that as well. And then as far as designing goes, like I had been saying, you know, I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of like half-baked written ideas, random charts around. I'm just like sort of waiting, and I'm not putting the pressure on myself. I'm just waiting for the right time to come. And I'll design something when I'm ready to design something. Okay, that's enough talk about work though. Let's talk about some things that I made and things that I am currently making. And so I think maybe I'll start with the cross stitch, and then we'll go back to like the knitting and the crochet. How about that? Okay, so cross stitch. So I did watch a little bit of my last coffee catch up, and I was working on a cross stitch project in that video, and it's done, and it's sort of in a frame. It's not really properly framed, but it's in a frame, but I need to like tighten everything and like put the back on and stuff. But this is the arsenic and old lace cross stitch pattern that I was working on in my last coffee catch up like 4.5 years ago. And here it is done. The pattern is by The Little Stitcher on Etsy. I could not love this more. I purchased a frame online and framed it myself. And you know, I like I said, this is just sort of in there for now. I mean, it's like super loose and stuff, but I just have it like on like one of these little guys. Like I just have it like sitting on a like one of these kinds of things in my living room for now. But it's so pretty. I loved it. I love stitching this one. I love stitching things that are, you're going to actually see that when I show you all the other stuff I brought in here. I really only like, I love stitching things that are just a few colors. And so this is one of those. And so it's so cute. I love it. Okay. So I made that. I mean, I've made a lot of things. I'm just kind of showing you the few things I felt like grabbing. I have been cross stitching obviously a lot. That really has become like my main hobby. And so I'm cross stitching all the time. So the next thing I want to show you is actually a reproduction sampler. And if you cross stitch, you know, reproduction samplers are very, very popular. And I don't normally cross stitch a lot of them. I'm pretty selective in the reproduction samplers that I choose to cross stitch. There's a variety of reasons for that. But anyway, this one I couldn't resist. It's Clara Hansen 1914. It is a pattern by Hello from Liz Matthews. And I had to cross stitch this because my maiden name is Hansen. And so with the E, Hansen with an E even. And so I had to make it. I had to make it. And so again, I framed this one myself. And it's really pretty. And so that was one reproduction sampler that I have made and completed. So really lovely. I actually feel like this is like a really good alphabet. I feel like I'd put this on something else again. And these flower, I mean, this whole thing, every part of this was fun to stitch. And again, I framed it myself. I knew that I wanted like a kind of ornate frame. I knew that I wanted it to be like close, like right to the edge. And, you know, for buying a relatively inexpensive frame off the internet and doing this myself, I'm very pleased with how it came out, gotta say. All right, so that's kind of some big things. Let's see. Doing some little smaller things I've made. This is a heart and hand pattern. And I cross-stitched it, and then I sewed it into a pillow. So look at me, I'm even sewing now. I did that with my sewing machine. And then I just like hand-stitched at the bottom. I might glue on something to go around the edge. I kind of just like them plain, and you know, I'm not very good at sewing, but I don't care. It's cute. Nobody's coming into my house and being like, those corners look a little weird, you know? So yeah, that's just like, I love stitching alphabets. Yeah. So that's like something I've made. I made a bunch of pillows. I just brought a few in. This one's from Primrose Cottages. I think this is the Winter Quaker. I love stitching. Like obviously you can see, I love stitching also just in like one color too. So, I love doing the Quakers. This one I added like my initials. I do think the year was on the pattern, like that, but I put my J and an L. That's the back. Again, I just like sewed these up, very basic. And I have this one. I started this one on Inauguration Day in 2021. It's a quote from Barack Obama, and it says, "In the face of impossible odds, people who love their country can change it." Man, isn't that a quote for right now? And so, yeah, so this one was one of the first ones I actually this was one of the first pillows I actually sewed into a pillow. So it's not great. The back's like a little, but you know, people look at the front, it's not falling apart. So it's really cute. I really like it. So I'm really enjoying making these pillows. They're like so fun to cross stitch. It's not a lot of time. I mean, it does still take a lot of time to stitch it, but I just like have a little bowl and I just kind of rearrange things as I feel like it. Okay, and then I'm going to show you one more framed thing. This is something that I designed actually myself, and it's kind of hard to read because it's a variegated thread. It says, "Within every dystopia, there's a little utopia," and that's a quote from Margaret Atwood. And so this is a color in cotton, variegated, I don't know what color, and just like a frame I bought online, but it's really cute. I was really feeling that quote for a while. So there you go. It was one of those where I'm like, somebody should cross stitch that onto a pillow. And then I did cross stitch it. Maybe I'll turn it into a pillow. Okay, then, I have one more thing here. Look at this thing I made. Shiny Things by Lindy Stitches. It's a needle book. And this actually came as a kit. So it came with all of the fabric, the rickrack, and this little felt, and the pins too. And so you can just, you know, put all your little pins in there for your cross stitch or whatever. So it's got like crows on the front, and on the back it's got another crow with like a sewing machine, and I just like zigzagged it together there. And it's so cute. That just sits out with all my stuff too. Okay, so those are all like the, those are all the totally finished things. Then I have a couple of cross stitch projects that need to get framed or finished. I just thought I'd show you. This one's one of my favorite things I've ever made. This is Gardens of Zig by Ink Circles. I totally changed I didn't totally change the colors. It was more just green, red, and purple in the original pattern, but I added some more springy colors with the yellow and the pink and the blue. And then at the bottom, I added the Moira's Roses Garden 4856, which is a Schitt's Creek reference. Obviously I charted that part myself, and I'm pretty happy with it. I got it to fit pretty much just right in the middle. So I think I'm just going to frame this one, but I just haven't gotten the frame for it. And then finally, this is a project I finished this year, and then I had started it in, I think, November of 2019. I started it when it came out, and I just finally finished it, I think, in February or March of this year, and that's Snow Village by Country Cottage Needleworks. They did a thing back in 2019 into 2020 where they sent you one chart every month. And you know, I like thought I'd stay caught up, but I never did. But I did finally finish it. And I think that the only changes I made were, here I put my initials. I crammed in the year I finished it here. I mean, there's probably a couple spots where I used the wrong color, but overall it's as charted. And this one's on a 16 count Aida fabric, which is so beautiful. I love it. And so I have an idea on how I want to finish this. I just need to get the ball rolling and do it. So that's a bunch of cross stitch. That was cool. All right. All right. Now I guess let's talk about the knitting. I only have one thing over here because again, I just haven't been knitting. A lot, and that's okay. But what I have is this. Yarn's all tangled. This is the Harvey shawl from my book, Sock Yarn Shawls. And it's literally just this like meshy garter stitch pattern. And I just felt like making one, and I wanted a new sample so I could, just put the pattern on my website. So I've been working on this. I think just have to, I think I'm on the last row of knitting maybe, and then I need to bind off. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But anyway, I made it extra large. In the original book, it was just one skein of yarn. It was really small. So I've used two here. This yarn is Knit Picks Hawthorne. So it's so pretty. And I think once it like blocks and I really stretch it out, it's going to look so good. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that one. Maybe I'll have it done by the next coffee catch-up, which hopefully won't be in 4.5 years. Okay, that was all I had for knitting. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some crochet stuff I finished. And the first one, which is the best one, is I made myself a crocheted blanket. Look at this. I made this huge blanket, and this was the biggest project I've ever made for myself. And while I was making it, people were like, I want a blanket. I want a blanket. I want a blanket. And I'm like, basically too bad this blanket's for me. This I feel like was really part of my needing to get back to the love of the crafting that kind of happened to me over the last year or two. And I was all in. I'm making a blanket. I'm making it for myself. I'm not making it for work. I'm not writing. I mean, it's a corner to corner double crochet blanket. There's a million patterns out there. I'm not writing it down for work. I'm just making it. I'm going to enjoy the process of making it, and then I'm going to enjoy the process of sitting under it. So here you go. So I made it with the Lion brand mandala yarn, which is that like those big gradient cakes. You see them at like Joann's and Michael's and stuff. And I think I used 5 balls, I think. I mean, I had the really big ones too. And yeah, so I did the corner to corner method in crochet, and then I just added some single crochet and a little crab stitch reverse single crochet to the top or around the edge. We've washed and dried this a bunch of times now. It just keeps getting softer. So that was so fun to work on, and it makes me happy every time I see it in my living room, which is every day, because we always have that one out. Someone's always using that blanket. And then another thing I made was this crochet cardigan. And so I made this based off of a pattern by Holly Woodward Designs. I will link to the pattern that I based it off of below. It's basically a granny stripe pattern. I obviously just did it in one color. I made this a few years ago now, like in 2022 I made it. So I can't quite remember all the details, but I'm pretty sure that I did something slightly different for this like bottom ribbing. I think the original pattern was long sleeve. I just did like basically short. It basically just like ends where this all like folded together. And I just left it open in the front. I rarely button or zip up my like sweaters and hoodies anyway. So like, why am I bothering to put buttons on something I'm not going to button, right? And so I made this specifically for a Golden Girls convention. So my friends from college, Kimmy and Sarah, my dear friends, and my friend Dave too, we're the chem clique. We all were chemistry majors together, and then they all ditched me, and I'm the only one that landed with a degree in chemistry. But anyway, we're all great friends still, and we had a very good time in college and still continue to do so all these years later. And so there was a Golden Girls convention coming to Chicago. We loved watching the Golden Girls in college over 20 years ago. Ooh. And so we decided to go to the Golden Girls convention in 2022. Part of that, this is so not how, I don't know, I just like, I'm not somebody that goes out and cosplays. Okay, like I love the people that do, but I mean, I feel like maybe more now I'm in a place where I would, but like, that's just something I would never do before. And my friends were like, we are dressing up. Pick your favorite Golden Girl. Let's do it. And so I had to dress up as Sophia. And the reason is that's how I got into this craft in the first place. When I was in college with my friends, we were always watching the Golden Girls, and, you know, Sophia is crocheting sometimes in some of the episodes. And so it was like just after college, and, you know, my friends are all smart. They went to med school. I'm just working in a lab. But anyway, so we were just like kind of joking about like, okay, now we have to be adults. Like now we got to get into the granny crafts, you know, like everybody, whatever, like what's a granny craft? Like we all do the same crafts. But anyway, so for my birthday in 2004, those two friends bought me knitting needles, yarn, and the booklet, Learn to Knit in Just One Day. And they bought me knitting needles and not a crochet hook because we didn't know the difference. We didn't know what Sophia was doing. They thought Sophia was knitting. So they bought me knitting stuff. And so all of this is, I guess, because of Sophia from the Golden Girls. So I felt like when we were going to the Golden Girls convention that I had to dress up as Sophia from the Golden Girls. And part of that was that I was making my own sweater. And so I did. The yarn here, it's like a Valley Yarns cotton. I don't remember exactly which one I used. But it's just like a solid yellow. I actually wear this all of the time still. So when I did make it, I'm like, I am going to make a whole sweater for this costume, because I am committed, I wanted to make it where it would be something that I would wear after. And so I wear that thing all the time, you know, and it's one of my favorite things I've made. So yeah, so we went to the Golden Girls convention. We went to like the, whatever the dance party was. There was a costume contest. I mean, those drag queen judges took one look at me and they were like, get off the stage. And I'm like, but I made my sweater. They did not care. It was not the best costume, but I am happy that I'm happy that I was able to like make part of my costume. The rest of my costume was like completely store-bought. I did have a little like this little basket like purse that I had found, and I did have just like some dishcloth cotton and like a crochet hook in there. So like when we were like waiting in line, I was like crocheting. I thought I was real funny. So anyway, that was one really fun thing that I've made. So that's sort of all of like the finished things I think I'm going to show you. Obviously there's a lot more. I think going forward, like in some of these videos, maybe I'll just like, as maybe like I'm finding stuff, or, you know, if you want to see more cross stitch or what, like, let me know like what you're interested in seeing. I can maybe even give you like a little tour of like all my cross stitch that I have out in my living room. That's where most of it lives. But you can just let me know, because like, obviously it's been so long. I can't show you everything. And yeah. Okay. So works in progress. I did not bring any cross stitch, I don't think, in here right now. The last couple weeks, I haven't really been cross stitching that much. Honestly, between the Olympics and then I got really back into Animal Crossing out of nowhere. You know, that's been taking up most of my time. But I have been doing some crocheting while watching the Olympics, of course, because I mean, this is our time to shine, crafters. Am I right? Okay, so what I've been working on crochet wise, I brought a couple things over. I had this pillow. This is a very uninteresting pillow. I had this pillow in my living room, and it just had a random cover on it that I had like purchased online. And this pillow also had gotten super smushed just because like I like use it like behind my back a lot. And so I decided it looked terrible, because it did look terrible. So it like smushed, and like the covers, I don't know where the cover is, but the cover was fine, but just not great. So anyway, I'm working on making a way more awesome pillow. So the first thing I did is, okay, I'm really bad at hand sewing, so whatever, but the cover is going to cover it. This did not have a zipper on it. This was like the world's cheapest pillow from the internet. And so I just literally took scissors and just cut it right here. And then I just used some polyfill stuffing that I had for like when I'm making toys, and I just stuffed it in. I mean, I wouldn't say it did a great job, but I don't know, still looks like a pillow. And then I just sewed it up. And when I'm sewing stuff like this, I kind of hate using needle and thread. I do have a really hard time sometimes with like really fine, even with cross stitching, sometimes I struggle just like with the very fine motor skills. So I just used one of my cross stitch needles and some white DMC. I just like took like one strand and folded it over, so it'd be 2 strand. So I just used this like 2 strands of white DMC and one of my tapestry needle, or like one of my it was probably like a size 28 or 26 needle that I used for cross stitch to just like seam this back up. I mean, I did good enough. There's not stuffing gonna come out. So the boring pillow part's done. Now to the fun part. So I have this granny square to go on one side. And when I started the granny square, I thought originally I was just going to stop, like go purple out to red and then stop. And then I was going to make, I didn't know how many I was going to have to make, maybe 4 and seam them together. But then I decided, no, I wanted one big granny square. So it's like a 6-color rainbow. I repeated it twice. And then at the end, I added some half double crochet. And so I think now this is the right size to fit the pillow. If it's not, I will add another round of half double crochet. And then for the other side, I'm still working on, I'm actually getting pretty close to being done. I did it a little, it's kind of wrinkly. I did it a little different, obviously. I alternated the gray and the rainbow just for something different so that, you know, you can flip it over either way. I don't know. I love this. I'm going to make another pillow that looks like this for me. I have a lot of throw pillows out there. We were trying, we were like at one point trying to stage our home for, you know, whatever, and we're still here. So we have some throw pillows. So I feel like now I'm just going to cover them with crochet versus the cheapy pillow covers they have. So I'll probably do another one of these you may be seeing. So like this will be one side and then that'll be the other. I think it'll be cute. You know, I don't know. My house is slowly just becoming more and more crafty and just more and more quirky because I don't know, for a long time I just made this stuff and then never put it out. And I'm like, why? Spend hours making these things, you know, let's enjoy them. My husband enjoys my weird stuff. I like to cross stitch too. So it's like my vibe's kind of his vibe when it comes to that stuff. So that's cool. So that's kind of it. Oh wait, no, there is one more thing I'm working on. I barely have it done. I have this. I have this little crochet tube. So my friend Allison Hoffman, Crafty is Cool. She has a pattern that is of brass instruments, and I purchased it the other day, and I am making the French horn. One of my nieces is very into band, and she recently switched to the French horn, and she loves it. She's like obsessed, and so I'm making the French horn out of it for her. So this is just like a little tube I got to make. And I have a bunch, you need like a lot of little extra things to make it. That's the thing that Allison does so well, is she does like the details, like really good on her projects. Like top tier, just one of the best, seriously. And so I have like all the little parts that I'm going to need to like, you know, put the wire in and bend the wire and glue the little things on. So I'm excited about that because I don't normally do a lot of projects like that. And that's one thing I'm finding too, is that the projects I'm enjoying working on are a little bit different now. Like, you know, that bag that I showed you that I had done the tech edit on, like I had never made a project really where I like sewed in a lining and like I tried to do it correctly and like take my time and, you know, put the zipper in. I've not put like, I mean, I have put a zipper in on some like knitting things I made like, you know, 15, 20 years ago, like just could not have, I mean, just it real. What am I trying to say here? When I put stuff in the zipper, like put a zipper in something or whatever in the past, like it just never really looked that good. I just kind of did a crappy job. I'm still not very good at sewing, but I'm just like I'm chilling with my craft a little more. And so I'm like allowing myself to slow down with my craft, which like means that you can like sew in a zipper or sew in a lining properly when you stop trying to rush it. So I'm like enjoying those little projects. So I think like this French horn, that's really like on par because I feel like there's all those little details. Like I've never had to like get out a pair of pliers and like make something to like in my, you know, crochet project or knitting project or whatever. So I'm just kind of enjoying that. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been up to. So I'm hoping that I'm going to keep the coffee catch-ups to like once a month. That's what I was doing before. I think it's always going to be a little chaotic. It's always just going to be kind of like, what am I working on that I like? I don't want to say that I feel like showing you because like, obviously I would show you everything, but you know, I can get my hands into a lot of different crafts in the span of a month. So I think keeping these to like once a month and then just sort of sharing, you know, just a little look into what I've been working on, sort of like the highlights, my, you know, my favorite things that I've been working on over the past month, I'll show you. And then in the in-between, I plan on posting, you know, 1 or 2 other videos a month, probably more of like a technique thing. You know, maybe we'll go back to trying some of the weird, I don't know, like those unusual yarns you find at the big box craft stores. If you have any ideas of things you would like to see here on my channel, I would love to hear them. I also want to know, like, what are you into making these days? are you still knitting? Are you like me? Like, I'm still knitting, but like I'm also really crocheting right now. You know, like, what are you into? What's like the last thing you made that you were really excited and proud of? You know, I just want to talk to you all again, and let's like cheer each other on and like be excited about our craft and all of that. And so it was so great to catch up with you all. I have missed you all so much. I have just like, I don't know, just so all the emails and love I've gotten over the last few years has just been so incredible. Getting to talk to you on other platforms where I was making content has been really great. And I hope that you'll sort of continue to follow my craft journey here. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful crafty day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.